Because if you are a basketball fan, you see what's going on. The Raptors. The Raptors have been dismantling. First, they dismantled the Bucks. They dismantled Philadelphia the first, then the Bucks. Now they're handling the Golden State Warriors. And it's been a while, in my opinion, since the NBA Finals have been this exciting. I'm a LeBron James fan. Don't get me wrong on that. But what I mean by exciting is that we knew every year that on the East Coast who was going to be representing the East Coast. We knew it was going to be LeBron. And we kind of got used to that. And to an extent, it kind of numbed us regarding the playoffs. But this year, because we've had some new faces, we've got some new faces out there. We've got a new team finally. They were able to break through because I think LeBron was holding them back on the East. Now they're doing their thing and they're having some phenomenal success. So I hope they do go ahead and win the championship. But that being said, let me bring up my guest. My guest is Tracy Maxfield, and she's actually the author of Escaping the Rabbit Hole: My Journey Through Depression. We know this is mental health month. So today she and I are going to have a conversation regarding that, the implications of it, whether it's depression or PTSD. We're going to talk about that, and I hope that from the conversation that she and I have, you get something out of it. So with that being said, I'm going to bring up my guest, Tracy.
Hello.
My
How
sister,
are you?
I'm great, my sister. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. As always, it's a pleasure. I know we've communicated on LinkedIn, and I'm glad to finally have a conversation with you. First and foremost,
Thank you.
I want to thank you for taking your time out and giving me an opportunity to have you on my show. So, what I like to do is just have you. We're going to get started. Have you tell us a little bit more about yourself and everything, and then we're going to go ahead and get into your expertise, which is mental health.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm absolutely thrilled to be on your show. I greatly appreciate the invitation. And so a little bit about me. Well, I was born in the United Kingdom, and I actually trained as a nurse there. And then way back in 1987, I moved to Canada on my own, just me and two suitcases. And I've been in Canada ever since. Obviously, I continued my nursing path in Canada, and I've worked in different areas of nursing, specifically palliative care, dementia care, and gerontology. And I'd say my first episode of depression probably began when I was in my late 20s. It was actually resolved pretty quickly. By that, I mean with antidepressants and counseling. I was able to come off my meds after about a year, and everything was okay until about 13, 15 years later when I had another episode. And at that time, I saw a psychiatrist who felt, based on family history, it was likely to be a genetic component, and forewarned me at that point that in all likelihood I may have another episode sometime in the future. And so life went on. In 2011, I was offered a new position in nursing, which was very, very stressful. And it was during that time that I started to experience my very first episodes of workplace bullying. And unfortunately, the bullying continued to worsen over 4 years until 2015, when there were a series of events which, as I say in my book, sent me down the rabbit hole. I ended up having an acute depressive episode, or what you would call in layman's terms, a massive nervous breakdown. And this episode of depression actually was so unlike my two previous episodes. I had such strong suicidal thoughts. I actually attempted suicide a number of times, and I likened it to falling down a rabbit hole. It was so very different, so very, very dark. And it was actually with the encouragement of my psychologist about a year into my therapy. He encouraged me to start writing a blog about what I was going through to try and help other people, especially friends and co-workers, understand really what depression was like. And from that, my book was born. Totally unexpected, but I felt that because of what I went through when I was doing it on my own, and it took such a long period of time, honestly, even today, I feel it quite surreal to be talking to people about it, because when I was stuck in the rabbit hole, I actually did not think I could ever get out and have another life. And when that finally happened, I felt it was important to let people know that A, they're not alone, and B, that they really can get out of their rabbit hole. It's going to take time, and it's a lot of work, and you need a lot of patience. But if you truly want to escape your rabbit hole, you can do it. And when you emerge, you will emerge a much different person, but a much better person, hopefully.
Okay. Now, with your book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, right now, those episodes, I know you said you had an acute episode where it was stronger than the ones prior.
Yes.
And then now from that point to this point, has there been a continued escalation of those episodes in terms of the strength? I know you said there was a attempted suicide. Has it leveled out, or is it an ongoing battle in terms of the increase of the level of depression?
No. And so I would say from 2015, the first 2 years were by far the absolute worst. I would keep going to see my psychologist, just saying, give me a date when I'm going to get better, because it was just endless. But it was actually, it was changing my mindset, engaging in a strict routine, a very healthy lifestyle, journaling. I actually started to express gratitude, and lots of people find that strange when you're really stuck in a world where you feel worthless and hopeless and there's no future. But what I found was expressing gratitude and starting to look at what I can really be thankful for each day. Switch the mindset so you're not focusing so much on all the darkness and the horrible things, that you're starting to see that there are good things out there in life. And in my book, I show how that transition occurred, but it certainly does switch your mindset to you feeling more hopeful and optimistic. And I found at that point, the mindset and actually living in the moment, it was actually being present and appreciating the day that I had. The depression, I would say, can go into a chronic stage. Do I have depression? Yes, I do. But it's at a stage now where I'm able to manage it, and I'm able to identify that, you know what, today's a bad day. I call it, it's okay not to be okay all the time. And it's giving yourself permission that, okay, today's not going to be such a good day, but you know that tomorrow could be better. And so you just keep going. I always go back to the routine that I had, which kind of propels me through each hour. And you go to bed and then you start afresh again. And it's that hope and believing. It will get better. I've been through so much, so I know I have the strength to carry on. Suicidal thoughts, yes. When I have a lot of stressful events, so it would be 2 or 3, it can get very dark, and I have that little voice which says, you know, maybe it'll be better to end it. And then it's like I have, like in my book, I call it DBS. I personalize my suicide. It's death by suicide. I see him as a very dark figure, a very dark presence in my life. It's like he's sitting in the corner of the room waiting, and he's saying to me, well, maybe you should just end it. And then that strong part of me, the new Tracy that fought through the depression and has started this new life journey, is saying, no, I don't want to. I know I can keep going forward and make a difference. And that's where I am. It's accepting that it's always going to be there, but having the strength and the coping strategies that you can say, okay, no, I'm going to outmaneuver you today, and I'm going to continue on my path.
So it's a continuous, as I'm listening to you, it sounds as if it's a continuous conversation that you're having with yourself. As you said, some days you wake up, it's going to be a challenging day.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
you've got that negative one that's saying, maybe it's better to go ahead and end yourself, but you fight. Let me ask you this: do you spend a lot of time in meditation? Is that part of your healing?
Meditation, yes. I do a different type of meditation in that I'm not necessarily sitting there cross-legged going, om.
Okay.
But yes, meditation as in just being present and being still and just trying to clear the head and just relaxing. Yes, definitely doing that, because I think it's important to find that quiet, private space where you can just be one with yourself and just shut out that world and just be mindful. I mean, that's really what it is. So, yes, I think that's very important. Other people use prayer, but it's being present with yourself and, with the universe, but not being cognizant of all the horrors that are going on in the world. It's stepping inside yourself.
Let me ask you this, Tracy, and thank you for sharing what you're sharing with us. We know there's depression. We know there are different types of. There's one that's a physiological, I believe it is, and then we know there's a person may just have maybe in a bad mood. Let's say, for instance, they've had a stretch of challenges, and it's starting to get
Yes.
the best of them. Okay.
Yes.
How do they know the difference between, wow, this is a mental challenge I'm dealing with that is chronic. This is depression, as opposed to, well, I've had a string of hardships and I'm just down. How do they know the
Right.
difference between that, which we know can change with something external, versus actual depression, which is really internal?
Absolutely. And I mean, life stressors, as horrible as they are, we call them episodes of mental distress. And it's a normal part of normal mental health functioning. Unfortunately, what happens is if you face a number of stressors, and they can come all at once, it's not unusual for you to have a depressive reaction. I think when you have a true clinical depression, it's when you've had a number of persistent symptoms that have continued for 2 weeks or more. And usually it's people that have had it for a couple of months. And it could be anything from either insomnia, where you're not sleeping as well, to sleeping too much. It's either eating too much or it's having no appetite and not wanting to eat. It's also accompanied by lethargy, fatigue, it doesn't matter what you do and how much rest you try, you feel like you just being hit by a bus. It's a body that depression is just oriented around the brain. It is the whole body system. And so it's headaches, it's aching and face the world.
Let me ask you this. I know as we're talking, and you're talking about the identifiers,